So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Amber Fowler, and I thought I would kind of complement Navroop's beautiful, I would say, talk earlier, and then Onad's about these different systems, and mine kind of complements, I think, all of those. I started this, or got the background, in doing this idea for this talk based on kind of accumulation of everything that I've kind of worked on for the last 20 years, and now more recently I'm working with the Ethereum Foundation. And it was kind of this culmination of thinking about, I've been in venture, been in startups, been in finance for the last 20 years, and a lot of these systems just really don't work. We've kind of outgrown them in many ways. This is kind of the easiest way to describe it. And we've outgrown them because the timing doesn't work, the asset classes don't work, all of these different systems really don't work. And so I started thinking about how can we change it, and that kind of led me down a rabbit hole of thinking about, well, what if we started thinking about how we could redefine value, which Navroop introduced actually in her talk, which was kind of perfect. But it starts from kind of a more fundamental place that I've discovered, and through my working groups and different researchers and scientists that I've been talking to and different economists. It starts from actually starting at the very beginning, which is trust, is that we have a very fractured system of trust, kind of across all economic models and across our society and culture, and we can't kind of treat them individually. Like, we can't just try to repair the economic systems of trust. We actually have to look at our societies and think about how we repair trust in those societies. And then maybe as we bring those two together, we can start thinking about how we can create a new economic system and maybe offer the old economic system kind of benign neglect. So nobody is suggesting that we're going to abandon capitalism, even if it doesn't fit everyone's needs, but we might offer some new alternatives to capitalism, such that we can choose maybe to vote and to act in ways that support us or support communities that otherwise haven't been able to participate in these systems. I lived in Lagos, Nigeria for a few years, and I saw how many people were neglected and left out of these systems, and it really hit home with me that, like, I'm in venture capital, and I thought I was going to Nigeria to do venture in a different way because it really didn't exist on the continent, and so I was one of the early ones who was offering capital that was incredibly scarce. And even that wasn't sufficient. Like, I realized being there that I was like, oh, this thesis is so off the mark. And it just really didn't serve the people. There's this myth that capital is scarce, and capital's really not scarce. It's just that it's just not available because of the way our economic system functions currently. It's only accessible to the very privileged and the very elite who have the best social networks and who have, like, the right connections and went to the right schools. And that is kind of a propagation of our capitalist model. It is intended to do that. It's intended to leave out women. It's intended to leave out other races. It's intended to create a lot of exclusion. And I was really moved by the fact that I was struggling with, oh my God, my whole life I've done finance and I'm in venture and I have this, everybody thinks like, oh, these are great things. And I felt really crappy about it. I just felt like, wow, we're going about this the wrong way and I need to do something different. And so about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I started rethinking this and started thinking about how can we start putting our heads together with all of these different, I'd say, bodies of work that kind of exist internationally, whether it be alternative currencies, or whether it be blockchain, or whether it be kind of community redevelopment ideas, that we actually just need to kind of merge us together in some way because there are so many amazing groups around the world that are doing their part, and we are actually greater in number than the capitalists that are controlling these mechanisms kind of on a broad spectrum. And so I was really excited, and by that led me to Ethereum Foundation because I thought, oh, wow, here's a wonderful foundation that's combined. They may not be I think they're doing really amazing landmark work, but they're not going to be the only, and they're not going to be the last one, but all of these efforts kind of cumulatively are pushing us in the right direction. And so I'd like to say, or I'd like to kind of the purpose of getting up here is like to just kind of like incite curiosity and incite interest to actually, like, if people don't understand how to get into these systems, right now it's hard. There's not a lot of accessibility. We're working on that. Everybody's working on that, but it's not totally accessible, and hopefully through education and through making some of these things more user-friendly for very amateur level people who are just interested, saying that the old system doesn't work for me. How do I get in? How do I pay for my student debt? How do I find capital or find different forms of capital? Because right now, again, our definitions for these things are so limited and so constrained, and it's not a true representation of actually what's possible and what is already existing. And so I think that if I can do anything in my talk, I'm not trying to go all that long, is actually to try to incite curiosity and interest and offer that people don't have to accept what they have in front of them right now. And I kind of realized that. I had that, my own kind of epiphany when I was in Nigeria, like, I don't actually have to do this. Like, I don't have to do it this way. Just like we accepted the dollar, or we accepted the gold bar, or we accepted the way we quantify time, we actually don't have to do that. We can actually completely forge a new way. And I feel like we get trapped in these routines, we get trapped in our institutions, we get trapped in the signals from society and all that stuff. And I just want to offer the fact that we have alternatives and we can put them forward. And I just want to incite some curiosity around actually doing that. And that was the inspiration for me wanting to talk on this panel. And so I guess if people have questions, I'd love to answer them if I can, but hopefully we'll do that in our panel too. So that was pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.